I'm glad you were able to find a therapist, and I'm glad that you've found acceptance and commitment therapy to be so useful. It's the modality that I was most recently working in before I found ISTDP.
I've always kind of found CBT kind of like a turnoff because it's kind of like, well, if you're feeling a bad feeling, it's because you're having the wrong thoughts. And
That's
let's
right.
just like surgically remove that one and put a new one in. And I feel like CBT comes with the assumption that the therapist knows and the client doesn't know. And that's always been kind of a turnoff for me. But so I really love with ACT that it's helping the client to identify or re-remember what their own values are for
That's right.
themselves. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. No, I agree with you. And I find with CBT too, it has a place. I do really think it has a place, but in a general
Yeah, I
sense, I
agree.
don't find it useful for people because you are teaching them that they need to get in there and curate their inner life, like just change the manner of your thoughts. It's actually teaching them to avoid more and to be even more controlling with themselves internally.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but therapists like it because it's very, then it doesn't make a therapist anxious. It's a very clear protocol. And so much of this is about how do therapists manage their own anxiety in the room? Are they
Right.
willing to do the thing that makes them very uncomfortable? I mean, I had to come face to face with that with ISTDP. What ultimately happened was I found that even after using ACT for a while, I just found myself avoiding lots of things. I would avoid
Mm.
certain things with certain clients. And then I noticed that they were really probably, I had a sense they're probably really avoiding telling me something there, but would just move along. There's just all this avoidance. And
Mm.
ISTP was a way for me to learn how to be more confrontational in a loving way from a loving position with an attempt to try to get to the heart of matters and to not waste time with the client.
That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
And just to say one thing, I have actually sensed that in my own therapy that like there's times when I know that I'm kind of like bullshitting myself, and I wish that my therapist would
Yeah,
point that out. That
yeah,
maybe one potential weakness of ACT is it kind of has this underlying assumption that all manifestations of thought and feeling are like understandable.
yeah.
And so there's a lot of validation and there's a lot of contextualization of why you're feeling the way you're feeling, which is extremely valuable and saves lives.
It
But
does.
I think the weakness of it might be like there is kind of an aversion to pointing out an incongruency or an
Yes.
inconsistency.
Yes, because what happens is that there's a series of ways that even our feelings can be defensive of something deeper.
Hmm.
So I find sometimes with ACT, like you say, there's not enough pressure to push something aside if you are on the track of really trying to look at something in particular. Like being able to sweep things aside and suggest to the client that if we go down that path now, we're not going to get where we're going today. Like, I wonder if that comes up to cloud out what might sit deeper than that. Let's just put that to one side and attempt to see what happens. It's got more of a focus to it in that manner and a premise, I guess, that the client sitting in front of you is not going to be able to report to you everything that is going on for them that might be relevant, that there's an unconscious at play. And so you are not just taking them at their word when they're reporting things, you are also looking to their body for clues, what they're doing right now. There's an incongruency when you say that you feel nothing, but I see your hands squeeze like claws. You're listening for multiple things at once. It's not just what the person's able to report. And you might be able to, with just a little bit of precision and nudging, help the client to see, oh, yeah, I think actually I'm bullshitting myself when I say it. Actually, maybe it's not that. Maybe I'm actually not angry at that person. Maybe I feel guilty. There is a manner in which there is more confrontation and pressure from the therapist, but done in a particular way and always with the client's consent. It's more active. It's much more active from the therapist, but
Yeah.
it means that the therapist needs to be much more comfortable with their own anxiety because it's a lot to sit there
Yeah.
and it's from a place of compassion, but it's not this always being soft and warm and just open to what is. It's a compassion that is going to point out, I think this is the thing that you're doing that is leading to all the suffering. Like if we sit here now for the next 40 minutes and you sit in these weepy tears, that's what you do everywhere else. I don't know that that's going to help you in any way here. I don't know that that's giving you the best experience of what we could be doing here. Maybe this is a problem. Maybe the fact that every time someone um, lets you down, that you fall into this hopeless, passive, small puddle of tears, maybe that's part of the problem here. Can we look at that? You don't just accept it for what it is and go, good, have a cry, make space for it. How does it feel? Because there's different kinds of crying. And there is the crying that
Yeah.
is aggressive and helpless. And then there is the crying that is in being in touch with a true pain that you've been pushing away for a long time. and it's a process. And on the other side, you feel different. Do you know what I mean? So
It's a transformative emotion. I'm curious how you approach that confrontation in the therapy room. Obviously, I'm not asking you to disclose confidential information about a client, but I'm asking this for just out of curiosity for how you work, but also just in my own life.
It's really painting a picture of the pieces for them to help them see that what you are doing here and now in this very moment with me in the room is potentially another example of that thing that you came in with and you're telling me about happens with your partner, and that thing that happened last week when you were at work, and that problem that we had 2 months ago when there was some scheduling issue. There's a pattern here, right? And I point this out. You tell them, you're very declarative, right? Like, I point this out to you, right? Because I don't know that you're seeing it. And maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe what I point out to you, you disagree with, and you're welcome to. But it wouldn't be right for me to sit here, take your money, be here on this therapeutic journey with you, and just nod along when I feel like I'm seeing something here that might be relevant to the struggle that you brought in. I think it's important we really look at this rather than just accept it at face value as a feeling or as a whatever. It's trying to, you're trying to raise the conflict inside them. So because it's and this is what I mean about it is from a loving place, and it doesn't mean that it's always experienced that way. I should say there's a real learning curve here of trying to figure out the exact presentation of a person and really trying to match your style in a way that confronts them in the needed way, but is also trying to do it in a way that sends them the signal of love and care so that they take it on board. But there's a lot of going back and forth of that. And you can get it wrong. You can get it wrong with one client and then point that out and work on it to get it right next time. But in my mind, just based on my history of doing therapy with people, I would much rather take that risk and that gamble. I'd much rather try and really be there to give the person the full experience to really truly get to the heart of their suffering than to do the safer move, which I get and has a place, but the safer move of, well, it's not really my place to suggest that, or it's just being open. I don't think it's just about being open and allowing someone to just have whatever is there with them in the moment. I think if you have a clear goal, which is that I notice that I get into this pattern in relationships where I can only get so close to someone. Like all my romantic relationships always end at 2 years. I have no idea why. Like, what is going on? And that is our focus. And we're really trying to be focused on that. I have to hold on to the idea inside myself that my job is not to always be nice. It's not to always smile and be warm and pleasing to the other. And based on my relational history, that's quite different because that was like a role that I would play. And that's how I would keep people at enough of an arm's length. I would be very smiley and very people pleasing. And then people never really got to get close to me as well. And so I've had to let go of some of that. I don't want to bring that into the therapy room. I can still be loving by just being available to them and truly attuned. There is something about true attunement that even if you're pointing this out to someone, and they might have a moment's resistance, it's like unconsciously it lands somewhere. Like, you imagine if your therapist finally pointed out to you, I don't know if this is a real feeling or maybe there's more there. Maybe this is something that's just covering things. You finally feel, oh, there's a recognition that you've actually been more deeply attuned to. But that's what we call the unconscious therapeutic alliance. So you're working to build that underneath all the time as well. You're trying to give the client the experience that you're in their corner, but you need to do that by not just being a whatever happens is okay. The signal you do give them is that it's okay in the sense that I'm not going to end the relationship. I'm not going to reject you. Obviously, the scenarios where, but in a broad sense, we can stay here. Like, you might still choose to come here and spend every session going into weepy tears for 40 minutes. That's okay. That's your right. Like, you respect their autonomy. That's your right. I just want to make this conscious. I want us to be able to talk about what might be happening here. And then you get to choose. You get to choose what's right for you. And I'll still be here and we can still do this. But I want to be honest that I'm wondering if this is actually a cover for us getting to the next step. And then it's an invitation. It's an invitation to the person to see it in a new way and to then, if they want to, make the decision to do something different. And then you can kind of do more of a pressure to, well, what sits underneath it if we don't do that? If we just put that to one side, let's look at what happened.